whatever the external temperature is, their internal body temperature will not change. It will remain the same constant. And this is very important term, pneumatic. So what is pneumatic? Pneumatic is nothing but the presence of long hollow bones in the birds which help them to fly. Crop is found in dash. Gizzard is found in dash, like, or they can give class Aves, class Reptilia, like that also the question can be asked. Hello everyone, a warm welcome to this session on class 11 biology for CBSE. I'm Dr. Divya, biology faculty, Vidhyaashram School of Excellence, Mysuru. So in this session, let us learn about class Aves under subphylum Vertebrata of chapter 4, Animal Kingdom. So under Aves, all the birds are placed under Aves. So let's learn the characteristics of these birds and then move on to learning about some of the MCQs that can be framed under this particular topic. So talking about Aves, so all the birds are put under class Aves under subphylum Vertebrata. And these birds, they are warm-blooded, that is, they are homeothermous in nature. Homeothermous meaning warm-blooded, wherein they are capable of regulating their body temperature. Whatever the external temperature is, their internal body temperature will not change. It will remain the same constant with just minute variation. So that is homeothermous. And one of the main characteristic feature of Aves is that when compared to and all the other classes that we have studied so far in the previous sessions, right? So one of the main characteristic is they have feathers. So far we didn't come across this in any of the other classes. So entire body is covered by feathers, and it is these feathers which are present in the wings that help them to fly. So there are some of the birds which are capable of flying because they have wide span of wings, and there are some birds which have very short wings with feathers, and therefore they are incapable of flying. So therefore some of the birds can fly and some of the birds cannot fly, and therefore they are put under the flightless bird category. So best example is ostrich, and we have emu, penguin. All these are the flightless birds which are not capable of flying. And one more characteristic feature of these organisms is they have beak. No other organisms have a beak, right? So these are the organisms which have a beak. So far we had studied about the mouth or suckers, and they have an opening for taking in food and all that. This is one of the most peculiar characteristic feature of birds, wherein they have beak, and the beak are of different sizes, shapes and all that. It is because of the adaptations of these birds in different environments. Say for example, if those birds which are living in areas where there is lots of nuts and seeds available, they will have a sharp pointed beak which is a bit bent in order to crack open the nuts. And those which are living in the waters which feed on the fishes and all that, they will have a long slender pointed beak so that they can catch the fishes properly. And those which feed on insects will have a smaller beak without a bend. Why no bend? Because if there is a bend, it will be difficult to catch the insects. Like that, the beaks have different shapes and sizes depending on their food habitat. Next, the forelimbs. So birds, they have the forelimbs and the hind limbs. So forelimbs means it is the wings. They are nothing but the forelimbs of the birds are modified into wings, and it is this modification that helps the birds to soar high in the sky. And they have the hind limbs. Hind limbs generally, if we take a careful look at the hind limbs, it looks like as if they have scales. So they have scales, and the hind limbs are modified in such a way that it should help the birds to walk as well as to swim in water. For example, the ducks, the geese and all that, these are the birds which spend their time, some of their time in the water, right? So for catching prey and all that. So they have a webbed feet which helps them to swim. So therefore, their feet is modified for walking, for swimming. Like for walking, ostriches, they need to have a strong foot, right, when compared to the birds which are capable of flight, because ostriches tend to walk a lot and run very fast. So therefore their hind legs are modified for walking, swimming in the case of, as I told you, ducks, geese and all that, and for clasping. So those small birds which perch on the tree for feeding and all that, they have to clasp onto the branches very tightly so that they don't fall off. So it is modified for clasping the branches. And talking about the skin of these birds, their skin is completely dry, but they have oil glands. So where do they have the oil glands? So the oil glands are not present in the entire body of the bird. Their skin is dry, but of course they have oil glands, and these oil glands are present only at the base of the tail. You might have seen birds during the rainy season. They'll sit on a branch whenever it's about to rain. They'll sit on a branch and they'll start pecking below their tail, right? Below wherever the tail is, they'll just peck and they'll start pecking all over their body. That is, they just take the oil from the oil gland and distribute it all over their body because their skin is entirely dry. So when they spread this oil on the feather, they will become water repellent. So therefore they can fly even in the rain and they will not feel heavy. Now if it is not water repellent, if they don't spread the oil on the feathers, what happens? Once it rains, they'll become heavy, right? So it will be difficult for them to fly. So therefore they have, though the skin is dry, they have oil gland which is present at the base of their tail, which they can peck and distribute it to other parts of their body, all over their body. So this is one of the characteristic feature of birds. Next, talking about their endoskeleton, internal features, like they have an endoskeleton which is fully ossified, meaning it is a bony endoskeleton. That is, inside the skeleton is bony, and they have very long bones which are hollow. That is, it looks like a straw which is hollow. Why it is hollow? Because so that air can get filled in and the bird can feel light to fly. So that is one of the adaptation of bird. And this is very important term, pneumatic. So what is pneumatic? Pneumatic is nothing but the presence of long hollow bones in the birds which help them to fly. And they have a digestive tract. So like all the organisms under aves, they have, or almost all the organisms have a digestive tract wherein they have an intestine, stomach and all that, right? But one of the main peculiar characteristic feature of aves or birds is that they have a digestive tract in which, apart from the stomach, they have additional chambers which are called as the crop and the gizzard. So you might have heard of the chicken gizzard, which is used as a delicacy, right? It is used in cooking. So they have this crop, then they have gizzard extra, and they have the intestine, all that, esophagus, which also comes under the digestive tract. So they have the esophagus, the crop and the gizzard. So crop and gizzard, why do they have them? Because birds usually, when they are feeding on the worms, insects and all that, they tend to take in gravel or sand, which is not easy for them to digest. So what happens here is, it enters into these extra chambers wherein they'll have certain enzymes that help them to digest these grits, gravels and sand and all that. So for that, crop and gizzard is very important in the case of birds to hard substances, to digest the hard substances easily. And they have a heart which is completely four-chambered, having two auricles and two ventricles, and the respiration is entirely by lungs itself, and to the lungs additionally they have air sacs that are connected. So these air sacs are connected to the lungs because it will help them, or it will support them for additional breathing when they are in flight. So air sacs are connected to the lungs, which will supplement their respiration process. Talking about their reproduction, here the sexes are separate, meaning they are dioecious, wherein the male bird is separate and the female bird is separate. The male bird will always be larger and brightly colored and colorful, whereas the female bird will always be a bit subtle in color. And fertilization is internal, wherein the sperm will meet the egg inside the body of the female bird. Fertilization will happen and then the bird will lay the egg. So once the bird lays the egg, already fertilization would have taken place inside the bird itself, meaning the egg that has been laid is a fertilized egg which has to later on develop and into an embryo and a bird itself. So fertilization is internal, and they are oviparous, that is, they lay eggs. So that is the reason why Bat has been put under mammals. It's not under aves. So don't get confused there. Because all the birds are oviparous. That is, they are egg-laying animals. Next, the development is direct, wherein they do not have a larval stage or something. The young ones resemble the parent itself. So therefore, development is direct in this case. So some of the examples under birds wherein we have the corvus, that is the crow. So corvus, then Columbia, which is pigeon, Columbia, and then Pistacula, parrot. So Pistacula is parrot. Then there is some more example, the flightless bird, that is Struthio, ostrich. Struthio, ostrich. Then the vulture, which is called as neophron. So it's called neophron, that is vulture. And then peacock, which is called as pavo. So this is peacock. Peacock, it's the male. Peahen is the female. So this is the peacock here, which is brightly colored. So these are some of the, and there is penguin also, which is a flightless. So it is called aptenodite. So there is penguin as well. So these are some of the examples for class aves, that is the birds. So now let's discuss some of the MCQs under this topic. So the organisms that have feathers are put under class. Amphibia, no, amphibians, they do not have feathers. They have a moist skin. Reptilias, they don't have feathers. They have scutes or scales on their body. And aves, they have feathers. Mammals, they don't have feathers. They have hairs. Bats also have hairs in mammals. So aves is the right answer. The forelimbs of aves are modified into forelimbs. Be careful with what the question is. It's about forelimbs. Beak, no. Wings, tail, feathers. It is wings. The forelimbs are modified into wings because to help them to fly. Next question. Dash in aves are modified for clasping tree branches, or for, they can ask the question as dash in aves are modified for walking, for swimming. So like that also the question can be asked. Is it feathers? No. Feathers are nothing but modified forelimbs which help them to fly. Hind limbs is the right answer. Forelimbs are modified into feathers or wings. Forelimbs are modified into wings here again. So therefore the right answer here, hind limbs are modified into legs which help them to, or it is modified in such a way that it helps them to walk, to clasp branches, to run, to wade in water, that is for swimming and all that. So therefore hind limbs is the right answer, option B. The oil glands in birds are present at the base of. Is it present at the base of wings? No. Limbs? No. Tail. It is present at the base of the tail, and it is at that region the birds peck and distribute the oil throughout their body. So option C is the right answer here. Next question. In aves, the long bones filled with air cavities are called. So they have long hollow bones, right, which help them to fly. What are they called? Are they called air sacs? No, because air sacs are present in their lungs, which actually help them or supplement in respiration process. Hollow bones, ossified. Hollow bones, of course the bones are hollow. We can't call it hollow bones because there is a specific term that has to be used to it. Is it ossified? No, ossified is also not the right answer. It is pneumatic. Pneumatic bones are the bones which actually are long and hollow, that makes the body of the bird light, which helps them or which supplements them to fly. Next question. Dash are homeothermous. Reptiles are cold-blooded. They are poikilothermous. Amphibians are also cold-blooded or poikilothermous. Fishes as well. So therefore the right answer here is option D, where in option D the birds are homeothermous or they are warm-blooded organisms. Next question. Additional chambers in the digestive tract of birds are, or they can ask in the exam the question as crop is found in dash, gizzard is found in dash, like, or they can give class aves, class reptilia, like that also the question can be asked. So here the question that I have put is additional chambers in the digestive tract of birds are crop, gizzard, stomach, both A and B. So we have seen right earlier that birds have crop and gizzard, which are additional chambers in the digestive system that help them to digest certain hard substances. So therefore, they have both crop and gizzard. So we have to choose the answer both A and B, because both option A and B is the right one here. So next question. Aves have dash chambered heart 1, 2, 3 and 4. It is 4 chambered heart wherein they have 2 auricles and 2 ventricles. So 3 chambered heart is usually found in reptiles, 2 chambered in chondrichthyes, osteichthyes and all that, and 3 chambered reptiles as well as in amphibians also have 3 chambered heart. So aves have 4 chambered heart. Option D is the right answer here. Birds respire through skin. No, amphibians respire through skin. Gills, again osteichthyes, chondrichthyes, amphibians, all of them respire through gills. Is it lungs? Yes, it is lungs, because birds respire only through lungs. Pharynx? No, it's not the right answer. Next one. Dash is not a characteristic of aves. Ossified endoskeleton, having beak, presence of asac, viviparous. What was my question? Dash is not a characteristic feature of aves. Ossified endoskeleton. Yes, they do not have a ossified endoskeleton, but they have a endoskeleton which is entirely bony and it is pneumatic. So it is pneumatic. So therefore, option A is the right option here, because ossified endoskeleton are not found in birds. So 10th question, dash is not a characteristic of aves. Ossified endoskeleton. Birds have ossified endoskeleton wherein their bones are pneumatic in nature and they have a beak, they have air sacs in their lungs which supports respiration. Viviparous. Birds are not viviparous, they are egg laying, they are oviparous. So therefore, viviparous is, or option D is not a characteristic of aves. So the right option here is option D, viviparous. Next one. Dash is a characteristic of aves. What is the question? I am asking for what is a characteristic feature of aves? Dry skin, flight, 2 pairs of limbs, tympanum. So dry skin, yes, they have dry skin. Though they have oil gland at the tip of the tail, the entire skin is dry. So it is a characteristic. So next question, dash is a characteristic of aves. Here, dash is a characteristic of aves. So the right answer here is dry skin, because their entire body is dry, wherein only the oil gland is present at the tip of their tail, or at the base of their tail. So the right option here is option A, which is dry skin is a characteristic of aves, and they don't have 2 pairs of limbs, tympanum and all that. So next question, Columbia is commonly called, is it crow, pigeon, penguin or peacock? The right answer here is pigeon. So Columbia is commonly called as pigeon. So option B is the right answer. So this was about the session wherein we learnt about class aves, wherein we studied the characteristic of aves and then learned some of the MCQs that can be framed under this particular topic. So I hope you understood this session well. We shall meet again in the coming session wherein we learn the last class under subphylum vertebrata and learn some MCQs under it. So see you in the next session. Thank you.